If you're running an influencer program and already have influencers posting about you, you might be wondering how it's doing. Is it good, bad? Are you on track or off track? The sales may not be there yet, but you see the long-term value of investing in the influencer channel. Most brands in your situation would either quit or look at metrics like sales, which obviously takes slightly longer to come, or engagement rate. The truth about engagement rate still is that it's a vanity metric. So you might get content that's super engaging, but it doesn't actually help your brand. For example, political content or meme pages have great engagement rate, but they aren't necessarily helpful for your brand. So in this video, I'm going to share other lesser known ways to keep a pulse of the health of your influencer community. Who am I? I'm Yash Chavan. I'm the founder at SARAL, which is an influencer operating system that over 200 brands use to manage their influencer programs. Let's get into it and see why there's more to influencer success than just engagement and sales. Let's dive in. So what metrics should you look at when you're evaluating the progress of your influencer program so far? The number one metric, which I don't really see anybody talking about, is the time to post. This is about how quickly influencers post after receiving your product. Generally, it shows enthusiasm for the brand, enthusiasm for the product. It's usually also a good signal of how much your product is motivating the influencers to post. How useful is it in their life? Basically, the point is you need to get them to post as soon as possible. Now, this also depends on your usage cycle, right? So for example, if you're an energy drink, a lot of influencers are just gonna get the product, try it maybe within a day, and then just post about it. Versus, for example, if you're a gut health supplement, that supplement is gonna take 2 to 3 weeks to show any reasonable effect on that human being. So a lot of brands fall into this trap of, well, I looked at that other big e-com brand and they get a lot of influencers to post about them almost on the same day or in the same week, but influencers don't post about my brand as soon as possible. So this is where it's important to figure out what works for you based on your unique product and your unique set of influencers, as opposed to looking at best practices. What is your usage cycle, and make sure that influencers are posting within that usage cycle. But speed isn't everything. So let's talk consistency. The way you track consistency is by monitoring your PPC, or posts per creator, not pay-per-click. This metric gives you an idea of how invested an influencer is in your brand. Posts often mean more dedication, often mean more affinity towards your brand that the influencer feels. But again, I'm not here to give you any benchmarks or industry best practices. I'm here to help you figure that out for yourself. So the way you figure out what your ideal post per creator should be is you look at your usage cycle. So for example, if you are a skincare company, very likely you have a daily use product. So make sure that your influencers are posting about you maybe 2 to 4 times a month if it's a daily use product. But let's say on the other hand, if you're an apparel company and you're sending dresses to influencers, very likely that dress is going to be worn like once every 2 weeks. So if you have a longer usage cycle product, very likely influencers are only going to promote you 1 to 2 times in a month. The point is you need to be congruent with your usage cycle. You don't want a short usage cycle product to be promoted once every 3 months. Neither do you want a long usage cycle product promoted every single day, because that comes off as inauthentic. And ensure that the influencers are posting within that range. This also tells you how good your influencer offer is. Now, I've made another video about what an influencer offer is. So if you're wondering about that, I'll leave a link somewhere here in the video. But basically, if you don't have a compelling creator offer, they might not post about you again and again despite having a good product, because they have nothing to gain. So figure out why influencers aren't posting, ask them, hop on calls with them, and then figure out, hey, what can we do as a brand to help you post more often? So monitor and optimize your posts per creator. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The third way in which you can track the health of your influencer program is your impressions and engagement rate. Now, I said that engagement rate is a vanity metric at the beginning of the video, but it's still important and a worthy signal to track in the early days. The only problem is, don't just look at engagement rate, look at everything else. Look at how many eyeballs your content is being exposed to. Look at how engaging it is. Spot anomalies, like if your general influencer content gets 10,000 views, but somebody gets 25,000 views, spot that, notice that and see what was different, and try to get your other influencers make similar content, because you can tell them, hey, influencers want views and likes and shares and they want more followers, right? So how can you as a brand help them get that? Make sure that when you find an anomaly in your content, that the other influencers are trying to make similar content. And you can also use SARAL's built-in social listening feature to track this and measure this and make sure that you're on top of all of the social mentions that you're getting. Now, you know that I like qualitative performance measures. So far we've talked about quantity, right? Impressions, posts per creator, time to post, and so on. With all of that said, the fourth way in which you track the performance of your influencer program before you get sales is you measure your comment quality and sentiment. There are really 2 types of comments that happen on influencers posts. The first one is influencer-centered comments. The second one is product or brand-centered comments. Let me give you an example. Influencer posts a picture in a dress that you sent them, and everybody in the comment says something like, "You're so beautiful, this looks great," are extremely influencer-centric, and your dress doesn't really matter. On the other hand, you might see another influencer influencer posts with a similar dress, and they might get comments like, where was this all my life? I need this dress, it looks so pretty. Obviously there's a mix of both, right? I'm not saying it's one or the other. Make sure that most of the comments that you get are brand centered comments or product centered comments, right? But you can use SARAL's social listening AI to detect comment sentiment automatically, and it'll alert you if there is a lot of influencer centric comments in the comment section of your influencer community. But again, at the end of the day, you're running a business. So let's dive into the most important quantitative metric that exists, which is the sales that you generate. The fifth way that you track the effectiveness of your program is you track the sales that you generate. Obviously, influencer sales are going to be under attributed. We usually see influencers, the attributed sales are roughly about anywhere between 20 to 35% of the true impact that influencers are having, but it's still worth it to track the sales. See how many sales every influencer is driving for you. What's the average order value for your influencers, right? Sometimes we see that the AOV for influencers is usually higher because people trust influencers more, so they buy more from your brand. Now, another caveat on attribution and sales here is that do not treat your influencers as if they are performance marketing ad sets. Let me give you an example. If 5 influencers post and one of them is driving the sales, that doesn't mean that the other 4 are useless. But only one of those ads drive sales, very likely the other 4 are not working. In the case of an influencer, that's not the case. Assuming you're operating in the same or similar niche, let's say you have people who talk about martial arts, promoting your martial arts supplement company, very likely there is going to be 1 or 2 influencers that drive most of the sales, but the others that are in the community that are pushing your brand also drive enough brand awareness and trust that leads to the conversion actually happening. So if you stop working with the previous 4, the 5th person is not going to get you as many sales. So it's tricky when you come from a performance marketing background to not look at sales from a strictly ad set perspective, but take a more holistic approach. As long as you're making profit on the entire program, you should be good. Now, last but not the least, best way to track the health of your influencer program is to look at the reusability of content. Again, like I said before, and I keep saying this in all my videos, influencers are not just about getting sales, right? It's also about the content, it's about the awareness, it's about the trust. So look at the quality of content that you're getting. One of the best ways that some of our brands on SARAL are extracting ROI is they listen to the content using the social listening feature, they request for usage rights, and they use those assets on their ads, on their landing pages, using shoppable feeds, on their email retargeting flows, and so on, right? So using those assets and reusing can basically just replace your entire creative generation process for your Facebook or TikTok ads, for example. So reuse these influencers' content and make sure that the reusability of every piece of content is high, and you can ensure that you can quality assure this whole process by educating your influencers on what the best type of content there is to create. Influencers are a holistic channel, so don't look at them in one silo. Make sure you're looking at the entire stack, from sales to impressions to time to post to comment quality and more. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Just to recap, the 6 main ways you can track and measure the health of your influencer program, they're a little bit unconventional and go beyond just sales and engagement, are number 1, time to post. Ensure that influencers are posting within the natural first usage of the product. Second one is posts per creator. So make sure you're measuring and making sure that influencers are posting again and again about you. The third way to measure is impressions and eyeballs and engagement rate. So make sure that the content that they're posting is highly engaging and gets a lot of impressions, and optimize for that through education. Fourth one is comment quality. Ensure that the quality of comments is more centered around the brand and less centered around the influencer themselves. Number 5 is obviously sales. Make sure that you're profitable and you're running this profitably and not overspending on influencer marketing. Number 6, last but not the least, is the reusability of the content, so that you can maximize the impact by reusing these content assets across your channels. This is very crucial to figure out. Take notes, jot these 6 points down, because what you will find is you're setting yourself up for long-term success by looking at these metrics and then being able to, let's say, better identify who you should be working with. Who are the types of creators that post more often, that post quickly after receiving the product? You'd be able to more effectively incentivize your creators. You'd be able to make creator offers that, make sure that you get more sales, make sure that influencers keep posting about you again and again, and ultimately drive real results for your brand. I'm Yash from SARAL, signing off.